by Professor Nilanjana Das Chatterjee, Department of Geography, Vidyasagar University. To chair this session, I would like to request Dr. Bela Das from Raja N.L. Khan Women's College. I would like to request convener of this symposia, Dr. Kartik Bera, to kindly felicitate Dr. Bela Das ma'am. So Bela ma'am, kindly come on the stage and our Kartik sir will felicitate her. Thank you, ma'am. I will give a very brief introduction about Dr. Kakuli Banerjee, ma'am. Dr. Kakuli Banerjee is an assistant professor at the Center for Biodiversity and Conservation of Natural Resources from Central University of Orissa. Her area of specialization is biodiversity conservation with special reference to coastal ecosystem, climate change and carbon sequestration, coastal pollution and coastal zone management. Prior to joining, she has served WWF from India from 2003 to 2007 as project officer. She was recipient of DST Government of India Women Scientist Award in the year 2007. She has also served as Research Associate Level 3 in MOES and DST, Government of India respectively. She has about 12 years of research and 5 years of teaching experience as guest faculty in 5 universities. She is credited to have 88 publications in peer-reviewed journals and has authored more than 12 books at postgraduate level. We are also happy to share about her publication in wetlands, and it is one of our biggest achievements to be one of the 67 carbon scientists of the world. So please give a huge round of applause for the achievement of Dr. Kakuli Banerjee ma'am. This manual may be used by different researchers working on carbon around the world. So she is giving thanks to all her co-authors and Sil Bansal from US Geological Survey, Northern Prairie Wildlife Research Center, Jamestown, ND, for taking enormous trouble for editing this. So let's welcome on stage Dr. Kakuli Banerjee ma'am for her deliberation.
On karo. Respected Vice Chancellor in absentia, the Director, Assistant Director, Deputy Directors of the school, the college, the college principal, all the learned dignitaries who have joined this platform, my chairman and co-chairman for this session, all the friend faculty members of this college and from different parts of India who have come over here, the research scholars who are working for the development of the natural resource management, the Department of Geography, the students of this college, and above all, Kartik, who has the convener of this conference, who has actually invited me for sharing some of my experiences as a researcher or as a scientist of the country amongst you. So with this Thanksgiving, I would move on to the ocean resources. As you all know, in the morning session, we had two very important speakers, and they have already shared their experiences in terms of rice and water scarcity. And mache bhate bangali, আমরা সবসময়তে বলে থাকি। তো সেই জন্যে আমি শিফট করব, যেহেতু আমরা ভাতটা কীভাবে তৈরি করতে হবে, মানে চালটা কীভাবে গ্রো করতে হবে আমরা সকালে শিখে নিয়েছি, উইল গো ফর what is the importance of ocean resources. As you all know that oceans are 75% of the earth. So there is a huge demand for the management of ocean resources in the country worldwide. So here today I will be sharing only a few resource from the mangrove ecosystem exclusively, because the lecture is limited, and I can understand the trouble of the students sitting after the lunch, because your stomach is filled up with মাছ মাংস and thereafter চোখে ঘুম নিয়ে ভাত ঘুম ছেড়ে একটা লেকচার শোনাটা বিরাট বড় পানিশমেন্ট, I know that, but as well for teachers. So I will give you some interesting way through so that you don't sleep. And I don't think in most of my lectures all over the country, wherever I have given and abroad, nobody sleeps in my lecture. So hopefully I'll be taking you to a wide speedboat so that your brain keeps on churning and you don't get asleep. So we'll start with there's a evaluating resource of mangrove ecosystem using geospatial technique, a case study from Orissa coast. Today, although I have been working for the last 20 years in Sundarbans, but today I will be, as your Vice Chancellor has already told, that I have been working here and I have been establishing myself as a marine scientist in Sundarbans. But still, today I will give you a glimpse of Orissa coast from Bhitarkanika and Mahanadi. So, for the students, I would like to first explain, there are two different very important words, mangroves and mangals. Now, what mangal is, mangroves are, we all know that it's a halophytic plant species that is found in the coast. But when you tell, there's a very common word we use, mangal. Mangal is actually which is along with the associated abiotic parameters. That means these water and sediment together, all the microflora and macrofloral communities together, we call it as mangal. So if you think mangrove ecosystem as a universal set, so it represents both mangal as well as the abiotic components of the ecosystem. Now, what is the versatility of the mangrove ecosystem? If you see, it controls erosion. It is a buffer against cyclonic storms and depressions that you know very well. You have been having Fani, you had cyclone Hudud, you have cyclone Philin, you had many more cyclones which we had experienced, even Aila in Sundarbans. Then we had Laila also in Andhra. So there are so many cyclones. Even now also we are facing the Avadi cyclone in the Tamil Nadu. So it's a common, and the only rescue holder is the mangroves. So it fertilizes the water with nutrients because of the leaf litter and detritus which is being generated in the water ecosystem. And of course it's the biodiversity reservoir. It also, because it has the most endangered species, the horseshoe crabs of the world, and you know that India is lucky to have two important species of horseshoe crabs which resides only in West Bengal and Orissa coast, that is Tachypleus gigas and Carcinocorpus rotundicota. These are two horseshoe crabs which are found in India, and they are basically famous, or they are being said as living fossils of the earth. And because of its blue blood, it is thought to be a treatment for osteoarthritis, as well as for from the amebocyte lysate that is being prepared. And the first project which was taken up was in Orissa coast in collaboration with your IISc Bangalore. So it holds some of the endangered species like Royal Bengal tiger of Sundarbans, even the Indian rhino, which has been endangered right now, and extinct, I should say. So it is also a storehouse of honey, wax, timber and fuel. It is a medicinal storehouse. It's a source of many bioactive substances, those who are working for biotechnology, and a biopurification of the environment, because we already had a project for the Haldia petrochemicals, and we have designated some of the very important, particularly bine species. In Bengal we call it as bine. So that is Avicennia species, which is the most acceptable, best accumulator of heavy metals for the coastal industries. And it's I have already discussed about the endangered species. It's an alternative livelihood scheme for many untapped resources. I got the Women Scientist Award for that. Actually, we had prepared the fish feed, particularly the Peneus monoron culture feed from the floral extracts of the marine resources. So that was the innovation that we had done. And of course, above all, it's a natural library for the environmental education. So looking at the mangrove habitats of India, you can always see that mangroves are associated in all through the coast of India with 7516 kilometer coastline. And if you see the state-wise distribution, you can see here West Bengal, Orissa and Gujarat are the major, and of course the Andamans are the major contributors of the mangrove forest of the country. And about 60% of the mangroves occur in the east coast of the country, and almost 27% are in the west coast. If you look at the global distribution of the mangroves, it extends from the both, it is divided into two major groups. One is the eastern mangroves comprising East Africa and of course Southeast Asia, this area, Australia and Western Pacific. And again the western mangroves, which are basically from West Africa, South and North America and the Caribbean countries. Of course, here you should note, if you see the picture here, you can see that they are basically located in the tropical areas. So because of the huge amount of temperature and rainfall extreme, so this is the best habitat for the mangrove forests, as we all know that they are evergreen forests and the basic criteria is temperature and rainfall. Now if you look into the mangroves speciality is, if you see that these are present in the intertidal zones. The intertidal zones where you have the salt marsh grasses, which we also call as wild rice. And today morning our Vice Chancellor was speaking, and you might be knowing Professor M.S. Swaminathan, who just recently passed away as a father of Green Revolution. He manufactured, I mean with the genetically engineering, he did the first rice which he prepared for the salt tolerant salt pali, which was known as sonari, and that has been done from this Potretia coarctata, which is the salt marsh grass present in the intertidal zone. Now this is what actually happens in the case of tsunami that we had already seen, that if you would have mangroves, now you know that in Tamil Nadu, those areas, because they had huge amount of backwaters which were basically used for culture of Peneus monodon, that is bagda chingdi jetake amra bole thaki, and otherwise prawn culture er jonno we need both fresh water and brackish water. So because of that they have cut down huge amount of mangroves. So because of that the coast has actually become barren, and you have only small trees like this, the palm trees, which cannot withstand the pressure of the waves, and this is the condition which we have seen during the tsunamis. So mangroves are, if you see that this is the picture you can compare, this was the concrete bridge which is there in the Annamalai University. Behind that is the Pichavaram mangroves. That bridge was broken, but you can see the mangroves are withstanding and have been protecting the coastline very buoyantly. Now, when we talk about mangrove ecosystem, we should also think about that the water that we are seeing, which it appears sometimes green, sometimes blue, sometimes white, sometimes red. Now, this variation which occurs is basically due to the presence of these microplanktons, which is known as phytoplankton. Now, these phytoplankton are the building blocks of the ecosystem. So, in terms of resource, if we talk about, they are microplants. So because they are plants, they carry on the process of photosynthesis, and in the process of photosynthesis they prepare the food for the zooplankton and the fisheries, and the food chain continues. Even the blue whale, which we have talked, which our Vice Chancellor was talking about, even that cannot sustain without the plankton. So it is one of the very important components. There is another very important component is the associate diversity, which is the seaweeds and the salt marsh grass. Amra pray dekhe thaki je coastal zone e jodi amra jai kono সমুদ্র উপকূলবর্তী এরিয়াতে ওখানে দেখে থাকি আমরা প্রাণ রকম শ্যাওলা দেখে থাকি। সেই শ্যাওলাগুলোকে আমরা বলে থাকি seaweed, যেটাকে আমরা otherwise we call it as macroalgae. তো যেটা and this এই যে ধানি ঘাস যেটাকে আমি বলছিলাম Potretia coarctata, this is the species which is actually protecting the shoreline. It has very huge, the root system is 80% of the shoot system. So because of that, it clings the soil particles together and plays a major role in coastline shoreline stabilization. And of course, above that, these seaweeds are all edible in character. So recently one of my student has done his PhD, her PhD on the bakery products that we have prepared from the seaweeds of Visakhapatnam coast of Andhra Pradesh. So recently she got awarded in the last month. So this also we have tried to come out, because we have been looking through it as a floral resource in terms of plants only, and as an edible, because it is taken as soups, is taken in salads like that. But producing bakery product was a new innovation that we have done, and this is why we are going for the different resources. When we are talking about natural resources, you should have to think of the varieties or the applicability of these resources in various angles. Just as our last speaker was also telling, Professor Bonik was also telling, that we have to go for product development. So that gives a marketability, and this adds to the benefit of many of the what do you call, coastal livelihood. It acts as a livelihood generation for the coastal communities. Now, why we are looking about, now I will be focusing basically on why we are looking about on marine ecosystem and what is its benefit, because this plays a major role when we are talking about in G20 summit also we have been talking about, our PM is also talking about the climate change problems. Now, the only tool for climate change solutions are the mitigation problems that mangroves, where mangroves are playing the major role. Why? Because mangroves can sequester 3 to 5 times more atmospheric carbon dioxide than any other terrestrial forest. That is the speciality of the mangroves. And not only that, today on World Soil Day, I should also say, the sediments of the mangrove ecosystem are one of the unique storehouse of carbon, because they are getting deposited years together, and in the process of sedimentation, they are storing carbon within that. So because of that, they also account for much amount of carbon deposits from the dead plants and detritus. Now, this graph is very known to you. So, if you look into the temperature anomalies for the last 140 years, there is already a rise of 0.9 degrees centigrade temperature, and as per the Paris Convention, where we have already talked about that we are not going to increase our emissions and so that our temperature increases up to 1.5 degrees centigrade, but unfortunately we have already reached into 0.9 degrees right now. Now, looking at the carbon dioxide increase in the levels, we have gone increase into 1.55 ppm over the last 60 years of the data that has been already given by the NOAA laboratory. Now, what is actually happening when you look into the ice packs in the Greenland areas? If you can compare the effect of climate change in the worldwide level, you can see compare the volume of the ice. You can see that the left side of this is not there. So there is a huge amount of glacier melting which is taking place. Not only that, in India, in the Himalayas, we never found small lakes development in the highlands, but now we are being able to see the formation of lake formation in the glaciers in the Himalayan glaciers as well. Now, what is its effect on wildlife? If you see, the polar bears, they require a pack of ice to live. They cannot sustain, they will be easily extinct. The sea turtles, which are one of the signature species of Odisha coast, the olive ridley turtles, their nesting is changing from Rushikulla and Gahirmatha. Their nesting pattern is changing from Gahirmatha to Rushikulla. The reason I will explain you in the next slides. Now, because the beaches are getting eroded, already we have discussed about the sea level rise. So the beaches are getting eroded, and likewise, many of the species are facing the threat of extinction in this present world. Another important resource we have is the oysters. যেটাকে আমরা সাধারণত ঝিনুক দেখে থাকি আমরা. Now, these oysters are basically sedentary and they need a substratum where they need to grow, and they are the major source of calcium carbonate. এখানে যত ক্যালসিয়াম প্রোডিউসিং ফার্মাসিউটিক্যাল কোম্পানিজ আছে ভারতবর্ষে, তারা এটাকেই ইউজ করছে, অ্যান্ড এটাকে আমরা দেখে থাকি যে এইটার যে শেল কার্বনটা যেটা, এটা একদম হাই কোয়ালিটি ক্যালসিয়াম কার্বনেট. ইভেন ফর প্রেগনেন্ট মাদার্স, দ্য স্পেশাল ক্যালসিয়াম দ্য ট্যাবলেটস দ্যাট ইজ বিং গিভেন, ইভেন দেখে থাকবে যে যারা সমুদ্র উপকূলবর্তী জায়গায় থাকে তাদের কিন্তু অত পয়সা নেই, তারা কিন্তু ক্যালসিয়াম ট্যাবলেট কিনে খায় না, তারা কি করে এগুলোকে গ্রাইন্ড করে খায়. অফকোর্স দ্য কোয়ান্টিটি মে নট বি নোন টু দেম, হাউ মাচ টু টেক, হোয়াট ppm they should take, but arbitrarily by the traditional knowledge, when we are talking about the present NEP 2020, we are talking about the use of traditional knowledge. আমরা এখন যেটা প্রেজেন্টলি প্রত্যেকটা শিক্ষক শিক্ষিকা এবং স্টুডেন্টসদের জানা উচিত যে NEP 2020 তে বলা হচ্ছে যে আমাদেরকে ফোকাস করতে হবে ট্রেডিশনাল নলেজ. দিস ইজ সাম অফ দ্য এরিয়াস ওয়্যার ট্রেডিশনাল নলেজ ইজ বিং ইউজড, অ্যান্ড উই আর গোয়িং ফর extracting calcium. Now, because the shells are made up of calcium carbonate, if they are with the rising carbon dioxide levels, there is a risk of pH level which is going down. You might have heard another terminology, ocean acidification. And the most common example of ocean acidification you can see in the coral bleaching, where corals are basically colored because of the presence of the zooxanthellae, and later on, by the reduction in the pH levels in the ocean water, you are getting the corals bleached. Now, what exactly the international forum is thinking of? The International Union for Conservation of Nature is talking about the blue carbon initiatives which have been taken place, and the coastal region, I mean particularly the seagrasses, the mangroves, the salt marsh grass. These are the areas where the coastal, which can form the sink of carbon dioxide for the whole world. And this is the vision of integrated carbon observation system which is being taken up by the European pillar. And I was working with the EUFRATES project of Erasmus Mundus program, where we were working with 14 European countries, where we are actually working with the GHG gas emissions and what should be the knowledge base. The knowledge base of every scientist, my host was giving an introduction, that we have actually tried to make a policy document, or you can say a manual, which will be a bible for the whole world scientists, because people are working in different areas and different methodologies. There should be, and the data also again starts varying when you are working from different areas of the world. So there should be a common manual which IUCN has actually guided, that where from all the scientists should begin their work, starting following that methodology. It is basically for the future scientists who are coming up like you, who are going to work in future. So you need to have a baseline where you are going to establish that yes, this will be your bible for, just like you have AFA for water quality assessment, we have developed this carbon manual for the wetlands, which has been published in Wetlands in Springer. That is a 170 pages manual, and you can download, giving my name. If you search, you will get it. Recently 28th November it has been launched, and from USGS. And it has, if you give, it is an open access link has been given, so that all around the world everybody can download it. So I have already shared it with Karthik Bera to share it among your participants. Now, if you look at the brief carbon profile of India, India is supposed to become the world's largest, as we have already crossed China in population, and we are going to peak at 1.7 billion in population in 2060, and as India has pledged that we are going to reduce 33-35% of carbon emissions by 2030. We are now, and we have also told that in 2002 in UN FCCC meeting, which was held in Delhi, we have already adapted that we will be changing we will be cutting emissions, we will be changing our energy transfers. Now you can see that energy projects are coming up at a huge scale. So we are actually going to take up new projects in energy sector, so that we can reduce the carbon emissions. And among that, India has already played a major role in, particularly in 8 missions. Out of that, agriculture and forest has taken the lead role, where we are working, as Professor Bonik has already explained regarding the agricultural best practices. We are now, myself and my team, of course, with many carbon scientists of India, we are working on the forests to evaluate how much carbon is being emitted and how much carbon is being absorbed by the plants. So if you look into the global carbon cycle, the atmospheric carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the biomass, which is stored in the process of photosynthesis, very natural. Everybody has read in class 10, 12. And then we have the soil carbon, where you have the dead litter and detritus which is being stored, and by that, after that, it goes to the ocean, where the phytoplankton builds up. If you see the chemical formula of phytoplankton, it is CH2O108 NH316 H3PO4 SiO240. So if you see, divide the components, it has nitrogen, nitrate, phosphate and silicate as the major building blocks. And all our sewage, it also acts as a good pollution remediator, because the nitrate, phosphate and silicate which is emitted from the sewage and other municipal anthropogenic wastes, that also is being cleaned by the seaweeds as well as by the phytoplankton. So they are the huge resources which apart from absorbing carbon dioxide. Absorption of carbon dioxide is a natural process which is occurring in the plants. Now, what is the effectiveness of this blue carbon storage? If you see the top level, what I was discussing here, I have shown in the form of a pictorial photograph. You can see here the top layer of the soil stores 280 tons of carbon per hectare for mangroves, 250 tons of carbon for tidal marshes, 140 tons per hectare of seagrass meadows, which is almost equivalent to 1030 tons of carbon dioxide for mangroves, 920 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent for tidal marshes, and 520 tons of carbon dioxide for seagrass meadows. So by this you can easily understand why we are looking for the plantation programs. We are now basically focusing on large number of plantation programs, and one should mainly focus on the plantation areas of the coastal zones of our country. It is also to safeguard ourselves for the future, because you might be knowing that Odisha has become the hub of cyclones. Most of the cyclones, 90% of cyclones in the country is in Odisha. The landfalls are maximum in Odisha. So it has become a signature state all over the world for its management, and CM is being praised for that management of resources. But today, that is again, because Odisha also has a different, two different type of coast. One side you have the mangrove areas, other side the non-mangrove areas. So we should think of that which plants to grow in those coasts. There is a difference between the sandy substratum and the rock and the muddy substratum. So substratum characteristics, that is the soil quality, is one of the very, very important parameter when you are going for plantation. You cannot do arbitrary plantation. And the second point of plantation that we are now focusing at is we should look for carbon dioxide sequestering species, the plants which will be absorbing more carbon dioxide. So we have given this thought to the forest department, and now the forest department is also doing the plantations based on that, particularly for West Bengal and Odisha. Now here I have shown you, if you see, even the tidal marshes, if you look at, and the seagrass meadows which I was talking about, the dhani ghash and its associated species, they have the capacity of absorbing. You see that there the carbon is stored more in the soil than in the leaf. Can you see? Because they are small plants. Their sediment itself has the capacity of storing this much. And if you compare with the boreal forest and tropical forest, you can see the difference between the mangroves, tidal marshes and seagrass meadows and the boreal forest and tropical forest. So this is why we are focusing on the mangrove ecosystems. Now this was the general description which I was talking about. Now I'll focus mainly on the study area, the project that we had taken up with the financial assistance of Ministry of Earth Sciences of Government of India. We have worked with Bhitarkanika mangrove ecosystem and mangrove Mahanadi ecosystem. This is the two site maps. And we have estimated the biomass of the plant by, you can see my scholars working. So by the normal standard methodology that is applied. And we have also done the salt marsh grass evaluation, and then we have measured the carbon in the CHN analyzer, that where we have got the help from Institute of Forest Biodiversity in Hyderabad. So we also go for analysis of, that is the reason when I was talking about, then when we are talking about the afforestation program or the carbon dioxide absorption, we need to look at what type of soil quality you have, that particular soil quality, because the quality of soil and water varies from place to place. So you cannot do anything and everything. যেখানে গোলাপ গাছ লাগাবে সেখানে নিশ্চয়ই তুমি মানে ক্যাকটাস লাগাবে না, আবার ক্যাকটাস যেখানে লাগাবে সেখানে নিশ্চয়ই তুমি আম গাছ লাগাবে না. So this is the variation that we have to need to understand. We are basically focused on the terrestrial part, কারণ আমরা ল্যান্ডে কাজ করাটা খুব সহজ হয়, সমুদ্রে কাজ করাটা কিন্তু অতটাই কঠিন, because we have to look into the tidal effects. You have to look into the tidal chart every day. What is the water level, which tide, high tide, জোয়ার আছে না ভাটা আছে, দেখে we have to go for. So those who are working with the marine environment, they know much better that it's very difficult, very hardy to work in the marine environment. So likewise now, so therefore now when we have discussed about the resources, now you need to say how much is the plankton, what is the role of plankton. If you see, the phytoplankton is giving out 40% of the total carbon dioxide is absorbed, and 60% of oxygen in this atmosphere are being given by the phytoplankton. Although they are tiny microplankton, we cannot see. আমরা যখন সমুদ্র দেখি, সমুদ্রে আমরা শুধু নীল নীল জলই দেখি, তার মধ্যে যে প্রাণ আছে সেটা কিন্তু আমরা ভাবি না, কিন্তু ওইটার জন্যই কিন্তু সারা বিশ্বে আমরা অক্সিজেন পাই। অলদো সেটা আমরা বলে থাকি যে একটা পিঁপড়েকেও ইগনোর করা উচিত না, তারও একটা রোল আছে ইকোসিস্টেমে, রাইট? So even the tiny plankton or the microbes also have a very crucial role in governing the ecosystem services. So this is what, and I have already told you regarding the absorption of nutrient capacity, which deals about the bioremediation of the coastal areas, particularly the sewage pollution, যেটাকে কন্ট্রোল করতে পারা যাচ্ছে না। আমরা ধাপার মাঠে দেখে থাকি, কলকাতাতে ইস্ট ক্যালকাটা ওয়েটল্যান্ডে যে তুমি যাও, তোমরা দেখে থাকবে যে ওখানে বড় বড় সিভেজ ট্রিটমেন্ট প্লান্ট লাগানো আছে। ওটা বেসিক্যালি সিভেজটাকে ফিল্টার করে ওটাকে ইউজ করা হচ্ছে প্ল্যাঙ্কটন বা যে কোনো টাইপের উদ্ভিদ কণাকে গ্রো করে ওটা যাতে জলটাকে পিউরিফাই করা যায়। দিস ইজ ওয়ান অফ দ্য বেস্ট টেকনোলজি where we are going for green carbon emission reduction. So they are basically very good for clean development mechanism programs. And if you look into, and when I was talking about Mache Bhate Bangali, why I told you, this plankton is the only signature আজকের ডেটে যখন কোনো স্যাটেলাইট পিকচার নেওয়া হয় যে কোথায় মাছবালারা মানে যারা মাছ ধরে তারা কোথায় মাছ ধরবে, গভীর সমুদ্রে তো কেউ জানতে পারে না যে কোন জায়গাটাতে মাছ আছে। কিন্তু নাও দ্য লেটেস্ট টেকনিক অফ দিস জিওস্পেশিয়াল টেকনিক থেকে আমাদের কি লাভ হয়েছে, দে আর টেকিং স্যাটেলাইট পিকচার্স অ্যান্ড দ্যাট মাছ তো আর লাইট এমিট করবে না, দে আর ওপেক, ইজন্ট ইট, দে আর ভার্টিব্রেটস। emit ke করে this photosynthetic pigments emit their light, and because of which you can find out which are the potential fishing zone areas for the fishing. Now likewise, because I am concentrating only on the carbon part, I should tell you here that we have used the common carbon formula for development of carbon calculation of the carbon levels, and then we have seen the amount of carbon that is being stored by the phytoplankton. Now if you see, we have tried to analyze the relationship between soil organic carbon and dissolved organic carbon. সয়েলে আমি বলেছি যে কার্বন ডিপোজিট হয়, কেননা ওভার দ্য ইয়ার্স পলি পড়ে 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 একটা কাদামাটি, আর যে কেউ যে মানে যদি সুন্দরবনে গিয়ে থাকো দেখবে এটা আস্তে আস্তে গন্ধ ছাড়ে, বিকজ ইট হ্যাজ ডেড রিমেইনস অফ অ্যানিমাল অরিজিনস অলসো. সো দেয়ারফোর দ্য টোটাল সেডিমেন্ট ইজ ফুল অফ কার্বন, অ্যান্ড when there is a huge precipitation, যখন বর্ষা হয় ধারে পাশ থেকে যখন জলটা বয়ে এসে যখন ওয়াশ করে নিয়ে যায় তখন কিন্তু ওই জলটা চার্নিং হয়, ওই জলটাতে এই কার্বনটা গিয়ে কিন্তু জলে মিশছে। এবার আমি কি বলেছি যে জলে যদি অতিরিক্ত পরিমাণে কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড বেড়ে যায় তাহলে কি হবে, কার্বনিক অ্যাসিড তৈরি হবে, রাইট? ওয়াটারের সঙ্গে কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড মিলে কার্বনিক অ্যাসিড তৈরি হবে। কার্বনিক অ্যাসিড কি করবে, পিএইচটাকে কমাবে। am I clear? বুঝতে পারা যাচ্ছে? So that what we have tried to explain, we have tried to see that if you see the relationship between the soil organic carbon and dissolved organic carbon, soil organic carbon and dissolved organic carbon, although the significance is very low, but still the mode is increasing. And secondly, if you see the water pH and dissolved organic carbon, it shows a decreasing trend. Meaning the more amount of carbon is there, your water is getting acidic. Now we have also estimated the carbon stored in the seaweeds. শ্যাওলাদের মধ্যে দেখা গেছে। So we have seen that it is almost varying from 1100 to 1291 grams per square meters during the different seasons. And of course we have identified two important species, Ulva lactuca and Catanella repens, which is very very highly high rich of carbon content. Similarly, we have analyzed for salt marsh grass Potatia quadrata, that is dhani ghash, and the carbon varied from 0.8 to 1.7 megagram per hectares. So for mangroves, now how to go for which species to do and which not? We all know that Odisha, West Bengal, Sundarbans has 34 species of true mangroves. In Odisha also we have 35 species of true mangroves. Now how to go for it? We have tried to analyze this through our selected stations, where we have tried to find out the importance value index. What is that? It will give you the diversity and the dominance of that plant which is mostly dominating, and out of that then we have gone for selection of the plants, and here we have selected the 5 species: Avicennia marina, Officinalis, Exocaria agalocha, যেটাকে গেওয়া বলা হয়, and then you have Rhizophora, and then Xylocarpus granatum. 5 major species were dominated, and if you see, I told you just previously that soil characteristics varies, so carbon accumulation and their biomass also varies. How it is varying? You see, this is for Bhitarkanika. Here the number 2 species, Avicennia officinalis, has the highest biomass because of the huge freshwater discharge of the Brahmani river. But here in Mahanadi you have Rhizophora. Why? Because there is a one channel of Mahanadi tributary, only the Kharinasi river, which is flowing through there, so the salinity is very high. And one should always remember that for mangroves, salinity plays the maximum role in its distribution and diversity as well as its growth. So that is very very important. Similarly, we have done the carbon calculation, and we have seen that almost the carbon has varied from 3.25 to 280 tons per hectare for the overall, considering all the species. Now we have also tried to calculate the carbon storage potential. What is the carbon storage potential of this particular plant and of these plants? And after looking through Bhitarkanika and Mahanadi, we have calculated. You can see that Bhitarkanika, being is a wildlife sanctuary and is much reserved forest, we have much amount of carbon dioxide which is being absorbed than we have the Mahanadi, because it is a little bit anthropogenically stressed area, because it doesn't come under the reserved forest areas. So this was, of course, the project was given to me only to Bhitarkanika areas, but the forest department, when they gave the permission, they asked me to cover up the Mahanadi area as well. So for them, I had to extend this work, and so I completed the total major forest mangrove chunk of Odisha. And while calculating, if you see, the total area of mangroves in Odisha is almost 1,52,261 square kilometers. And if you consider the mean carbon of 124.11 tons per hectare, if you consider it as a mean carbon, then in Odisha you have almost, you can see here 647,95648, this much tons of carbon and 64.80 teragram of carbon dioxide which is being absorbed by this forest. So you can imagine the amount of carbon dioxide that has been absorbed. So it is playing a major role, these mangroves of Odisha are playing a major role in reduction of carbon dioxide levels in the state. Now, when we work in the field, this was what I discussed was in the field level. Now, there are many areas where you cannot reach. So it becomes difficult. Maybe some creeks are there, some forest is cut down, where you cannot go in the field by walking. So what we have found out is the areas where you don't have, looking at the biomass and carbon levels that we have calculated in the field, we have developed models for Bhitarkanika mangrove ecosystem, and we have developed 240 linear regression equations for AGB and AGC, both above ground biomass and above ground carbon. Please keep in mind, the value that I have told you is only for above ground carbon. We did not estimate for below ground carbon, because for below ground carbon you need to have a destructive method. You have to cut down the forest. So because we haven't done, the permission was not granted to us. So, and moreover, the mangrove root goes for miles and miles together. So you cannot get the root total chunk, which is very unlike the tropical forest. So tropical forest trees, I mean to say. So we have developed almost 240 linear regressions and 144 non-linear regression equations, and here we have selected 10 best fit models, that where if you know the girth of the tree, or if you know the height of the tree, any one, we can, from that we can find out the biomass and carbon calculation. And looking at the first time, for the first time we have, our team has developed the non-linear equations, where worldwide, if you find, there will be very few papers who are working on the abiotic parameters, or the effect of abiotic parameters on the mangrove growth and carbon storage. So this was the first paper that we have already published, and similarly we did it for Mahanadi mangrove ecosystems as well. But if you see the difference, there is a lot of difference between Mahanadi and Bhitarkanika mangroves, and therefore we had to go for two different blocks separately, and the equations were also not uniform. This clearly speaks that the substratum quality as well as the water quality plays a major role in churning the effect of on the growth of mangroves, as well as the amount of carbon that is being sequestered by the mangroves. Now, when we know so much about the mangroves, what is happening to Odisha is, we are losing, in the whole world, we are losing much of the mangroves. There is huge amount of loss, and this loss is, current rate is 0.15 to 1.02 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which is being released to the atmosphere because of the death and decay of the mangrove plants. So what we did was, we had done a land use land cover study for Bhitarkanika mangroves, and we have seen here, you see, the croplands have exceeded the dense forests. So from here you can easily see that what is exactly happening. Now these are the red patches are the areas where you are already, you have lost, and these are 10 years decadal area, work that we had done, and almost the croplands have increased from 353 to 661 square kilometers. This is the increase, and because this is only because increasing the livelihood. That is, I told you one very important thing, that mangroves are very good livelihood options. So what they are doing is, they are cutting down mangroves and using it for croplands or for aquaculture. The same problem which was done by Tamil Nadu is being repeated in Odisha as well. We also did the vegetation cover mapping, and over the years we have seen that dense forest cover, although they have not changed for 10 years period, but there is a very slight increase from 0.06% increase only Because now this is the reason that where forest department has played some of the roles, that they have checked the coastal communities who are living in the fringe areas from stopping from cutting down the trees, and also they have of course gone for a huge amount of afforestation program, creating many number of mangrove nurseries. Now here if you compare, you can see here the increase in aquaculture, the decrease in the cropland areas, and built up lands are coming up. So this is the major problem that has come up within the while we have got the change. Then we have also analyzed the shoreline changes. Now, when we are talking about Gahirmata beach, Gahirmata lies in the southern part of the Bhitarkanika forest, which is also known as Gahirmata Marine Wildlife Sanctuary, because of the huge nesting or the aribada of the olive ridley turtles. Now here also we have taken almost 260 GCP points, and we have tried to analyze the shoreline. We have divided the shoreline into upper stretch, middle stretch, and lower stretch from south to north. And if you see this graphical representation, you can see that the southern part, that is the Gahirmata portion, is getting eroded, and this erosion is almost, the land is getting recession. There is a recession of the land. It is almost 11 meters that it has receded, and because of that the nesting area of the turtles have decreased. So this is, and also this is also leading to lot amount of mangrove degradation as well. So this is an alarming effect which we have seen, and if you see this is the southern part, if you see the azimuthal graph, you can see the amount of degradation which is going up in the southern to the northern portion. Now coming to the last part of my lecture, what is the scope? Now when we are talking about carbon and carbon assimilation in mangroves, the soil carbon dynamics is is in today's need to understand the allochthonous and the autochthonous mode of the inputs, the waste, or you can say the sediments that is being deposited, and the soil organic carbon. So we should go for some isotopic fractionation. Why I am telling you this is, for the new generation students who are working up for the carbon projects, you should remember that the traditional basic ideas or the basic work has already been done. You should go for understanding by the different fractionation methods what is the different important physical and biological processes that is mediating this carbon storage and nutrient availability and the trace gas emissions that is being occurred. So therefore, at the last I should say that if no action is taken, then the ecosystem might moderately improve or might get somewhat worse, and therefore there is a need of, we should go for restoration rather than replacement. Of course, there are two ways: either you have to go for restoration if the soil quality or water quality permits, otherwise we have to go for replacement of the species looking upon the substratum or the water quality characteristics. I do acknowledge Midnapore City College for inviting me for this seminar. I also acknowledge Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India, Institute of Forest Biodiversity, as well as Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Wildlife, Government of Odisha, and the University Grants Commission for providing various types of financial support, both for my PhD scholar as well as for me as a project investigator. And this is my research team. No teacher or no researcher or no scientist is successful without a research team. And these are the brilliant researchers who are working under me, and 4 of them have, on the top, they have been awarded, and 3 are still continuing. There are other MPhil scholars and also as well in this work. So almost 15 MPhil degrees have been awarded from this project. So we are very happy to announce that. And some of the significant deliverables are there for you. Those who are working, you can go some of the important topics that we have already published in various reputed journals. You can look into, there's a high carbon stock. And of course, on the salinity and Sundarban mangrove ecosystem as well, you can get even soil as well as seaweeds as the food security measure for mitigating carbon change, mitigation measure to carbon dioxide or the carbon climate change problems, because when the land resources are getting depleted, one has to look over to the ocean resources for the food security, because already the land resources are depleting. So we have to now plunge into the oceans for getting our seafood as the resource. So this is a recent, what I have recently published on the abiotic factors on the capacity of mangroves in reducing ocean acidification, and the allometric models that we have developed for the next decision. So thank you all. With these few words, I hope I have not bored you, and the house was started with 25% and I think it is 100% fill up. So this itself shows the success of a speaker. So thank you all. If you have any questions, any queries, any contacts, my contacts are there with your convener. So you are heartily welcome to visit Bhitarkanika and Mahanadi as well as Sundarbans as and when you need. And me as a researcher or as a scientist is ever ready for you to help anytime you need it and for support. Thank you all.
Thank you, madam, for such a nice presentation and timely completion also. With a huge data and huge information, you could complete it within your limited time. Thank you very much. And to the audience, if you have any question, please ask madam, as because she has storage of information and knowledge. If you have, please feel free to ask her any question, I think. Audience, any question?
আমি জিওগ্রাফির লেকচারার হিসেবে আমি বিবেকানন্দ মিশন মহাবিদ্যালয় থেকে 2023-তে গিয়েছিলাম জুন মাসে। তো গিয়েছিলাম সুন্দরবনের লাস্ট ডোমেস্টিক ভিলেজ চরঘেরিতে গিয়েছিলাম আমার স্টুডেন্টদের নিয়ে ডিজাস্টার ম্যানেজমেন্ট করাতে, মানে ওখানে ডিজাস্টারের ওপর আমি সার্ভে করিয়েছি। তো ওখানে আমি নিজেই প্ল্যান্টেশন করেছি, আমার স্টুডেন্টরাও করেছে, নিজে হাতেই ম্যানগ্রোভ লাগিয়েছি। আর ওখানে দেখলাম যে একদম অনেকটা জায়গা জুড়ে পুরোটাই মানে ওই আইলা ঝড়ের পর থেকে ওখানে খুব ম্যানগ্রোভ প্ল্যান্টেশন করা হয়েছে। ওখানে যিনি রয়েছেন ম্যানগ্রোভ ম্যান উমাশঙ্কর মণ্ডল স্যার, ওনারই তত্ত্বাবধানে আমরা ওখানে গিয়েছিলাম আর ভিজিট করেছি প্লেসগুলো। তো দেখলাম ওখানে চরঘেরিতে যারা ওমেন রয়েছেন, লেডিসরাই এখন কিন্তু ম্যানগ্রোভ প্ল্যান্টেশনে সব থেকে বেশি ওনারাই এগিয়ে এসছেন। তো আপনার যা এগুলো দেখলাম কি বলবো, খুব ভালো লেগেছে। এই ধানি ঘাসও আমরা দেখেছি, ম্যানগ্রোভ প্ল্যান্টেশন দেখেছি এবং একটা বিস্তৃত এলাকা জুড়ে কিন্তু এখন ভেজিটেশন কভার হয়েছে, যেটা কিনা এই সাইক্লোনটাকে প্রচণ্ড পরিমাণে প্রোটেক্ট করছে আর ফ্লাডটাকেও কিন্তু অনেকটা কন্ট্রোল করছে আর সয়েল ইরোশনকেও কিন্তু কন্ট্রোল করছে এবং বায়োডাইভার্সিটিটা আগে থেকে অনেকটা এখন বেস্ট হয়েছে। মানে যে স্পিসিসগুলো এন্ডেঞ্জার হয়ে যাচ্ছিল ওগুলো কিন্তু আবার মানে ব্যাক করছে। থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম।
অ্যাকচুয়ালি সুন্দরবনে যেরকম দুটো স্পিসিস সত্যি খুব এন্ডেঞ্জার, যেরকম আমাদের সুন্দরী যার নামে সুন্দরবন হয়েছিল। সুন্দরবন অ্যাকচুয়ালি সুন্দরীটা কিন্তু আমাদের ওয়েস্টার্ন হাফে, মানে যেটা সাগরদ্বীপের দিকটাতে ওদিকেই কিন্তু পাওয়া যায়। ওইদিকে ইস্টার্ন সাইডটা যেটা আমাদের গোসাবা বকখালি ওইসব যে এরিয়া, এই গোসাবা বাসন্তীর যে জায়গাটা, ওইসব জায়গাতে এখন পাওয়া যাচ্ছে না, একমাত্র নর্থের দিকে। আর এটা হচ্ছে নিপা ফ্রুটিকান্স, যেটা আপনার গোলপাতা, যেটা এখানে গোলপাতায় বলে। ওই দুটো গাছই একটু একটু মানে কম লবণতায় বাঁচতে পারে, মানে সুবিধা হয়। 2 to 4 স্যালিনিটি কি ম্যাক্সিমাম 10 স্যালিনিটি পর্যন্ত রেজিস্ট করতে পারে। যেটা হচ্ছে আমাদের যেহেতু বিকজ অফ বিদ্যাধরী চ্যানেলটা যেহেতু ব্লক হয়ে গেছে, রাইট সাইড মানে মাতলা এস্টুয়ারিটাতে যেহেতু কোনো রকম ফ্রেশ ওয়াটার আসে না, ওটা পিওরলি টাইড ফেড। So that tide fed is leading to a higher salinity. Higher salinity, because of that, we are losing both Sundari and actually endangered. That is a major signature of climate change. মানে শুধুমাত্র যে আমাদের এখানে সিলটেশনটা যে হিউজ অ্যামাউন্ট অফ সিলটেশন, যেটা স্যারকে আমি জিজ্ঞেস করছিলাম, রামকৃষ্ণ স্যারকে, যে ড্যাম কনস্ট্রাকশন আর এগুলো যেগুলো হচ্ছে, অ্যাকচুয়ালি ফারাক্কা ড্যাম ইজ প্লেইং আ মেজর রোল। অলওয়েজ এ কন্ট্রোভার্সিয়াল এরিয়া, আই শুড নট স্পিক ইন দিস ফোরাম, বাট দ্যাট ইজ অলসো ওয়ান অফ দ্য ইম্পর্টেন্ট রোল দ্যাট ইজ বিং প্লেইং। এটা ঠিক। অ্যান্ড অফকোর্স এখন অ্যাফরেস্টেশনটা সেভাবেই করা হচ্ছে, কারণ ঝড়খালিতে তো প্রচুর বাঘও পাওয়া যায়। বাঘও ছিল, এখন তো বাঘের রেস্কিউ সেন্টারও একটা করে দিয়েছে ওখানে, যারা অল ইনজিওর্ড টাইগার্স আর বিং কেপ্ট দেয়ার ফর রিহ্যাবিলিটেশন। ইটস আ ওয়ান্ডারফুল প্লেস। ইফ ইউ এভার গেট এ চান্স, ইউ শুড গো অ্যান্ড ভিজিট। থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাডাম। আপনি রিসার্চ করুন, যদি কোনো রকম আপনি ফার্দার রিসার্চ করেনও আমার সাথে যোগাযোগ রাখবেন।
ওকে ম্যাম,
উই শুড কোলাবোরেট।
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you, Dr. Kakuli Banerjee ma'am, for your presentation. Now, we will have our next deliberation by Professor Nilanjana Das Chatterjee ma'am from Vidyasagar University. I would like to first request Dr. Bela ma'am to kindly felicitate our very favorite Nilanjana ma'am. So I would like to invite Nilanjana ma'am on the stage. Ma'am, kindly come on the stage. Our Dr. Bela ma'am will felicitate you. Ma'am, ke please give a huge round of applause for Professor Nilanjana Das Chatterjee ma'am. It's a great moment for us. It's a great privilege for me to give a very brief introduction about Professor Nilanjana ma'am. Professor Nilanjana Das Chatterjee, at present head of the Department of Geography at Vidyasagar University, specializes in environmental issues, pedology, and urban geography. She is also the co-author of River Sand Mining Modeling and Sustainable Practice. She addresses critical environmental concerns. As a prolific author, her work includes man-elephant conflict and research on natural resources sharing among communities. A member of esteemed societies like IUCN, CEM, and professional bodies, Dr. Chatterjee's dedication earned her the IUCN CEM Award in 2018 for her outstanding contributions to environmental management. So, with a huge round of applause, kindly welcome on stage Professor Nilanjana Das Chatterjee ma'am for her deliberation.
Good afternoon, all. At the very outset, I must thank to the organizer and specifically Department of Geography. So probably I am the last speaker of today's seminar. So you may be quite tired with today's huge program load. Still, I'll try to attract your attention, right? So, though in the introduction, it is said that I am an urban geographer and a biogeographer too. But sometimes I think that if I apply this knowledge to the other issues, what will happen? Okay? So from that point of view, I have tried to capture the impact of in-stream sand mining, which is a very severe issue in these areas of Midnapore. And specifically, you know about Kongshaboti River. It is your nearby river, and very often you visited this place. So it is a known question to you, and the answer may be also known to you. However, I'm trying to address the issue of sand mining from my point of view. Before going to start, I must thank to my previous speaker, because she has made a foundation of the importance of ecology and different components of ecosystem. Okay? So the title is like that: Ecological Consequences of In-Stream Sand Mining in Kongshaboti River, West Bengal. So all of we know that the importance of ecosystem, as the ecosystem means the components which are interlinked to each other, and it is thereby interlinked to the environment. So as a whole, we may say that they are knitted in a distinct way. At the same time, they are hierarchically knitted or hierarchically nested too. And current day's slogan is think globally, act locally. So madam talked about the global issues. So if I consider these global issues to a local issues, or tries to connect this global issue with local one, what will happen? So all of we know the importance of freshwater biota. Freshwater biota means the biological organisms which are living in fresh water. So my lecture is basically for the students. There may be many faculties from different departments, but I'm specifically focusing on the students. Okay? So the biodiversity of the freshwater biota is continuously in a degrading situation, and it is in crisis. So it is not from the local point of view, but at the global level, it is also degrading, and the impact can be seen in form of carbon emission, in form of other polluting agents. Okay? So this impact may very efficiently can be seen on the habitat degradation. Habitat degradation of the freshwater biota. And by the age of anthropogenic period, or the era of Anthropocene, we can see construction of dams, construction of dredging and channelization, and many harmful effects that are directly impact on the ecological life of freshwater biota. And today's early lecture given by Dr. Maiti, he has also talked about the impact of dam on the river geomorphology. But my aspect is not on geomorphology. I'm talking about ecology of the river. What happens if the environment degraded, how it impact on the river system. So it is the information taken from IUCN. We stated that the red list includes 1369 species from fresh water, of which 77% are mollusks. Apart from the fish, there are mollusks, decapods and odonates species, kind of species that are coming from the fresh water. And if this fresh water got hampered, what will happen? So let us see the profile of river, the transfer structure of river, and we may see that এটা কি পয়েন্টার আছে? আচ্ছা, yes, if we see the profile of the river, you can see that there are 3-tier system, that is from river bed to the riparian zone to the river banks. So these are a compact system which is consisting of 3-tier, and river ecologists, they are engaged in the study of running waters and its impact on the entire system, that means the river bed as well as the riparian and the bank system. And for that they have used several concepts. That is, one popular concept is river continuum concept, and another one is nutrient spiraling system. So let us know about what is river continuum concept. So in this concept, it is said that river is a continuous process, and in this continuous process, different nutrients that are gathering on the stream, and they are continuously flowing to the next stages. So it is a compact system, and hamper in any part of any system can hamper the entire system. And the next stage, which is the nutrient spiraling system. That means when we talk about landscape ecology, we are often talking about corridors or patches or landscapes, and river as a linear feature which resembles with a corridor. So there are importance of this corridor, patch and landscape in a given area, and rivers are often considered as corridors. So what does it mean by corridor? Corridor bolte amra ki bujhi? আমি স্টুডেন্টদেরকে জিজ্ঞেস করছি। করিডোর বলতে যেমন আমরা করিডোরের মধ্যে হেঁটে যাই, তাই তো? তো এখানে ইকোলজিতে করিডোর বলতে আমরা কি বুঝি, বা এই টার্মটা কি আমরা শুনেছি আগে? কতজন শুনেছি? বড় করে পিছনে হাত উঠছে তো? উঠছে। So what is this corridor? Anyone? Anybody? পারবো কি বলতে? So corridor is that kind of landscape which helps for the movement of not only animals, but it helps the movement of nutrient and energy and minerals in an ecosystem. So this is the importance of corridor, and river as a corridor, it helps to give energy to each and every component by this medium. So what happens in nutrient spiraling system? There is a relationship between the volume of water and the channel width, which actually impact on the velocity of the river. As the velocity increases, the nutrient movement will become more faster, and negatively, and vice versa. So there is a nutrient spiraling which also helps the stability of any ecosystem. So in a river landscape, we can see there are three types of components or three types of elements are there. One is ecological component, one is geomorphological component, and another one is hydrological component. So these three components actually made physical habitat of a river, and any change or any modification in any subsystem can impact the entire river system. And for river health, river system means the health of river. So for river health, the important factors are associated with geomorphology, the effluents, the anthropogenic factor, the land use factor, the land cover factor, and other way there are so many biotic agents that are also significant for changing the health of a river. And what happens if the health of river changes or if the health modifies? So here an anthropogenic activity, that is sand mining, which acts as one of the regulating factor for changing the ecosystem of the river as well as the ecological health of the river. Okay. So global sand market, which says that dependence on the sand mining is continuously increasing and the demand for sand is continuously increasing, and the mining directly impact on the ecology of the river or the health of the river. So for several factors, we the human being, we are depending on the river system, that is for sand mining, for construction activities, for recreation activities, for several kinds of ecosystem services, we are depending on river. So here in this table, I am trying to make you understand what are the impacts done by human beings by habitat alteration, by invasive species, that means introduction of alien species, and contaminants, microclimatic condition. So for habitat alteration, there are so many proximate factors are there or proximate causes are there. For damming, for channelization, for land use change, there are so many causes for why the river health may be damaged. It may affect the biotic zones as well as the abiotic zones too. For example, another fact which is done by human being is invasive species. That is for aquaculture, for sports fishing, for ornamental plants, we are directly impact on the river. And contaminants coming from different industrial sources, different urban areas, as well as from agricultural sources that also have impact on the river health. For example, one simple phenomenon, that is eutrophication. You know about eutrophication. Eutrophication আমরা জানি তো কি eutrophication? Madam, please, I know that. So the eutrophication, this is due to enrichment of nutrients in the river, and these nutrients are coming from the agricultural sources, mainly nitrogen and phosphorus type of fertilizers that are mainly caused for this. So another one is microclimatic condition, and this microclimatic condition may have impact on the small organisms of the river. So for sand mining alerts, the habitat system get damaged, and for this degradation, I have pointed out the increase of demand for sand for housing, the demand for social amenities, and for industrialization. These three phases are important factor for continuous demand of sand from the river. And for sand mining, there are river hydromorphological effects. For example, channel incision will be there, pool refill alteration will be there, tholwage shifting will be there, sandbar and mining pit generation can be happen due to excessive sand mining from the in-stream channel. And for surface and groundwater, high turbidity will be there, suspended solid which may change the quality of water, and high concentration of toxic metal which have many biomagnetic effect on the ecosystem. So there are biodiversity effects also, and socio-economic factor or socio-economic impact in form of sand mafia, the problem which is very much urgent in today's Midnapore and surrounding district, the problem of sand mafia. Many political issues are currently happening there, and soil and land use effect. So these are the entire dimension of a single work, that is sand mining. So what are the ecological impact of sand mining? We can see the sedimentation and nutrient cycling in the river system can affect the river health, and for that the extraction of sand from the bottom level can alter the habitat of a river. Okay. So these are the direct impact and indirect impact of sand mining, the degradation of habitat, removal of floodplain that can changes the nature of a river unit. So for this presentation, the main objectives are to identify the habitat character and how it gets hampered due to sand mining, and number 2 is to understand the relationship between spatial distribution of species with their habitat alteration, and number 3 is to identify the deteriorating river health of Kongshabati river. So it is a very micro scale study, and these are the materials which I have used for this analysis. Basically binomial MLR and ROC is used for this. So the areas which I cover here is the Khatra zone, the Raipur, Lalgarh, Dherua, Mohanpur, Kapastikri, Pashkura and Rajnagar. So the entire stretch which is extended from Khatra to the Rajnagar reach of Kongshabati river. So this is the methodology of the river. And here if you want to visualize the habitat character of Kongshabati river in this particular reach, you can see that this is riparian vegetation and this is the aquatic species which are residing in the sand mining pit areas as well as in the aquatic zone and the bank areas. So these are tier 3, tier 2 and tier 1, and in each and every tier you can see, you can identify separate type of species that are residing or that are available in the area. And these are some of the field pictures which I have taken from Rangamati rail beach. This place may be popular to you, this may be known to you. Rangamati rail beach, Konkavati area. So these are the common spaces, local spaces where you can see the kind of habitat alteration which are happening due to channel incision, which is another an effect of sand mining. So what is the role of this riparian zone? Of course, there are some biological role as well as some physiographic role of the riparian zone. It actually helps to balance the nutrient availability and the balance of the river. So in Kongshabati region, from the braid zone, from the river bed, that is from tier 1, I have identified these kind of species, this kind of aquatic species which are available in the study area, and the common name is Keshordam, the Kolaipata, and the Chingdi Dol. These are the common name of the species which are available here. So each and every species has their specific role in this system, and in the riparian zone, the mainly available grasses are, which is commonly known as June ghas and Kash and Dub ghas or Durba ghas, whatever you may identify. So these are the commonly available species. But what happens due to excessive sand mining from Kongshabati river? There are nearly 356 mines. Some of them are legal, some of them are illegal in character. Most of them are illegal in character, where no proper method is adopted for mining. Okay. So sand mining affected areas in the habitat suitability of this June grass and Kaas. That is, it is found that in Khatra area, these species which are available in the pre-mining zone, which is not available after the mining areas. So this is applicable for Khatra, Raipur, Lalgarh, Dherua, Mohanpur, Kapastikri, Pashkura and Rajnagar, all of the spots that in pre-mining and post-mining, the suitability of the habitat become low. So for the Khatra, the pre-mining for KM species is 0.88, and whereas it is reduced to 0.82. So likewise, for the entire river reach, we can identify that the character of the habitat that is degraded in nature and the availability of these specific species which has their role in the ecosystem in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem, we can see this kind of result. In some cases they are very poorly suitable, in some cases they are moderately suitable. But the important fact is that in most of the cases the habitat quality degraded, and due to this degradation the suitability degrades. So these images, from these images we can see that habitat transformation is there. So one is habitat alteration and another one is habitat degradation. So due to degradation, one kind of habitat is modified by another kind of habitat, another type of habitat. So this habitat alteration that impact on the river ecosystem, and for each and every sector, each and every section of the river from Khatra to Joy Nagor, the entire area, the availability or transformation of June grass and other grass colony that has been changes. In Khatra segment, the availability of grass that is shown in high availability and low availability. You can see the availability of June grass and other grasses in Khatra, and it is in Raipur sub-segment. So this is the previous situation, and this is the after situation after sand mining effect. Okay. So likewise, we can see the sand mining effect in Raipur area, in Khatra area, in Kapas Tikri area. So here you can identify the patches which once was dense in nature is degraded due to sand mining effect. So likewise, in a very precise way, in each and every sector of Kongshabati river, we can identify the change and alteration of land use habitat. So this is in Rajnagar area, and in Lalgarh sub-segment we can see the difference. In Mohanpur sub-segment, this is the situation. And not only this, the result of logistic regression, which also shows the sensitivity, we have validated the model and the sensitivity, which says that due to habitat alteration or components of change in the available landscape, the availability of the species which was once there in the riverine area now became changed or shifted to another type of vegetation. Okay, so these are the results of each segment. But along with this, we have also tried to identify not only the vegetation characteristics, but the quality of water, which is also impact of excessive sand mining in Kongsaboti river. We have taken several soil, along with soil sample, we have taken water sample, and for water, we have identified the biological oxygen demand, salinity, total dissolved solid, turbidity, kind of components, and for each segment, it is said, it is seen that the quality of water which degrade in the lower reach of Kongsaboti river, where the sand mining sites are more in number. Okay. So this is the situation, sample site of sandbar mining pits and the result of the quality of water. So there is an adverse change of physico-chemical properties of surface water due to deterioration of in-stream biota from sandbar. We can see from the water quality index, the situation is like that. In pre-mining, in the riparian zone, these dominant species were there, whereas in the mining pit areas, these species are not no more available in the area. Okay. And the quality of mining habitat that become degraded due to sand mining effects. So these are the picture of different sand mining areas and its impact on the river biota. So this is the situation of post mining situation, where you can see the aquatic species, the which is available here, the aquatic species near the Patna area, and the mining pit species which are different, and ones which was available in the sand pit areas, that these are aggravated in number, these are more available in number due to stagnant quality of water. Okay. So these are the situation of mining pit, the aquatic species in the areas, and this is the riparian species which are dominant in character, and this is the situation of habitat loss, specifically in case of the riparian vegetation, specifically June grass and dub grass. These are no more, we can found the colony of these kind of grasses over these areas. So what we can see from this type of sand mining effect is that we can identify 3-tier habitat alteration occurred across the mining sites throughout the channel, and mining induced pits play key role to provide the sustainable variability of aquatic species. And 3 dominant in situ species, specifically যেগুলোর নাম আমি বললাম যে কাশ, দুব্বা এবং যেটা জুন গ্রাস, these species, they are more affected due to sand mining effects, because for in-stream sand mining, we are collecting sand from the in-stream areas, and mining process lead to habitat degradation, specifically the habitat of June, and we can see the shifting of habitat in these areas of Lalgod, Dherua, Mohanpur area, and most grasses, grass cover of Dherua and Mohanpur and Lalgod, which are effects of severe sand extraction of from sand mining areas. So we can see such kind of effect, and maximum transformation we can see in the Mohanpur and Kapastikri area. And if we compare the landscape or land utilization of this area, you can see maximum urbanization and urban growth is available in Kapastikri and the Mohanpur area near to the Midnapore city and near to the Kharagpur area, most the urbanization process which is available there. So, the study shows in situ habitat suitability of 3 species that are highly reduced, and they try to shift due to mainly due to sand mining activities in the Kongsabati river. So, this is the impact of sand mining in Kongsabati river for what the distribution and habitat of the riparian species and in-stream species that get hampered. But what will be the management? What will be the management from where we can collect sand, from where we can quarry sand? That is the main question, that there is a bit debate between development and environmental quality. We know that development and environment quality, they are negatively related to each other, but we cannot stop development. So, from which place we collect sand is the main challenges to us, and for that we have identified sand resource estimation process, and from this model we have identified the optimum utilization of sand, from what certain percentage of sand will be quarried. This is the main challenge for the riverine population. So, from this we can identify the sand resource estimation as well as optimum utilization of sand and delineation of sustainable sand mining sites which are available for what certain period. Okay. So, this is the sand mining status during 2011 to 2014 for Kongsabati river. We have identified certain spots in near Liluakhola in Mohanpur segment and Devangai in Kapastigri segment. The maximum availability of sand and the maximum level up to which we can quarry sand. So, through this we have identified sustainable sand mining procedure for Kongsabati river. So, as well as we have also proposed certain sand mining sites in Kongsabati river which are for few years can be available for sand mining. So, for Khatra segment we have identified the sand mining places. For Raipur segment we have identified this place, and for Lalgarh segment we have identified 3 or 4 places from where sand can be quarried for future years. And likewise we have also identified the sand mining sites for Mohanpur segment, for Kapastigri segment, for Pashkura segment and Raipur segment. And for this we have considered not only the physical parameters, that means the geomorphological parameters, but also we have considered the ecological health of the river which will be applied for collecting sand in these areas. So, this is the thing which I intend to share with you. Now, if you have any question, you may ask.
So, thank you Professor Nilanjana Das Chatterjee for his time testing presentation. This is a problem of recent phase, not only recent phase, for many years now it has taken its new shape also. So, this is the time for audience. If you have any question, please feel free to ask her. Any question, audience, maybe in English, student, maybe in Bengali also, don't hesitate.
Ecology, sand mining, যা খুশি নিয়ে করতে পারো। So if there is no question, may I leave? Okay.
Thank you, Nilanjana ma'am, for giving us a very insightful understanding about sand mining and its harmful effect on river ecosystem. So now we will start our poster presentation. The poster presentation will be held on the second floor of this building. So I would like to request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly go to the second floor and attend the poster presentation, evaluate the posters there. I would also like to invite our other participants. They can also go there and see all the posters. After the poster presentation, we will have oral presentation in this hall as well as in room number 304 and 306. I will announce the name of the participants whose oral presentation will be held in this seminar hall in room number 304 and also in room number 306. So kindly pay attention. Shonali Guchai, Toyan Mondol and Kisholay Poria, their oral presentation will be held in this seminar hall. In room number 306, oral presentation will be delivered by Dr. Annesha Banerjee, Prabhat Kumar Sheet, Deepak Kumar De, Aditi Bosch and Abhishek Chakraborty. In room number 304, the oral presentations will be delivered by Dr. Kothakoli Bandopadhyay, Orijit Ghosh, Bishwajit Bera, Anushua Goswami and Ujan De. So now I would like to request our dignitaries as well as all other participants to attend the poster presentation that will be held in the second floor of this building. After that, we will start the oral presentation. Shonali Guchai, I have Oh, acha, acha, এটা. Okay, the oral presentation of Professor Shangomitra Ari will also be held here. So kindly I would like to request then Professor Shangomitra Ari and Shonali Guchai, Toyan Mondol, Kisholay Poria to stay in this hall for their oral presentation, and all other participants, they can go to the second floor of this building for poster presentation. এখানে হবে presentation একটা. Those who have participated in the poster presentation, they all are requested to go to the second floor of this building. আচ্ছা, যারা পোস্টার প্রেজেন্টেশনে নাম দিয়েছো সেকেন্ড ফ্লোরে চলে যাও, মানে এর ওপরের তলাটায়, ওখানে তোমাদের পোস্টারটা প্রেজেন্ট করো। তোমাদের ইভ্যালুয়েশন করার জন্য আমাদের মধ্যে যে সমস্ত এস্টেম ডিগনিটারিসরা এসছেন তারা তোমাদের পোস্টারের ইভ্যালুয়েশন করবেন, তো তাই জন্য তোমরা ওখানে যাও। আর যারা বসে আছো তারা অপেক্ষা করতে পারো, এখানে কিছুক্ষণের মধ্যেই ওরাল প্রেজেন্টেশনটা স্টার্ট হবে। আচ্ছা, এখানে আমি আরেকবার নামটা বলছি যাদের ওরাল প্রেজেন্টেশন এখানে হবে। প্রফেসর সঙ্গমিত্রা আরি on the title of Geospatial Application of Tropical Cyclone Disaster Management Review in West Bengal, and Shonali Guchait, Oyon Mondol, Kishalay Poria. Their title is Rice Aroma Influenced by Rhizopheric Bacteria. So I'd like to request them to kindly give their PPT to our Shumanda. যাদের নাম বললাম কাইন্ডলি আপনাদের পিপিটিটা সুমনদাকে একটু দিয়ে দিন। This oral presentation will be chaired by Dr. Chandan Karan. In room number 306, the oral presentation will be chaired by Shubhashish Dash, and in room number 3. So our first oral presentation will be delivered by Professor Shangomitra Ari, and her paper, title of the paper is Geospatial Application of Tropical Cyclone Disaster Management, a review in West Bengal. So please welcome Professor Shangomitra Ari.
Good afternoon, respected delegates, esteemed guests, students and everyone present here. Myself, Professor Shangomitra Ariadok of Vivekananda Mission Mahavidyalaya, Chaitanyapur, Purbo Medinipur, want to deliver my lecture. The title of the paper is Geospatial Application of Tropical Cyclone Disaster Management, a review in West Bengal. The session chaired by Dr. Chandan Karan sir. Geospatial technology is an emerging field of study that consists of three major disciplines, that is Geographic Information System or GIS, Remote Sensing and Global Positioning System or GPS. Tropical cyclones are some of the deadliest natural disasters, typically generating sustained high winds, storm surges, and intensive rainfall. Globally, many coastal areas are affected regularly by tropical cyclone disasters. The destructive characteristics of tropical cyclones are great threats to coastal people and the environment, resulting in the loss of more human lives than all other natural disasters. During 1968 to 2010, on an average, about 88 tropical storms formed each year across the world. Out of these, 48 acquired the strength of a tropical cyclone of category 1 and 2, and 21 achieved the intensity of a major tropical cyclone category 3, 4, and 5. Over the last 2 centuries, globally, around 1.9 million people have lost their lives by cyclone disasters. Tropical cyclones are also responsible for enormous damages in local economy and environment. The intensity of tropical cyclones will probably increase under likely future climate change scenarios, and thus coastal people and environment will be more vulnerable to tropical cyclones. Bay of Bengal, devastated several parts of West Bengal by tropical cyclones. According to the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project data, around 58% of the cyclone formed in the Bay of Bengal around 58% of the cyclone formed in the Bay of Bengal make rainfall and landfall on the eastern coast, especially Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and West Bengal. There are a lot of factors that make Bay of Bengal more prone to cyclones compared to the Arabian Sea. The factors range from high sea surface temperature, low vertical shear winds and high moisture in the middle layers of the atmosphere. Another reason associated with the high number of cyclones in the Bay of Bengal is its geometric pattern. The long and curved coastline of the Bay of Bengal results in the amplified wind speeds as they funnel into the bay that intensifies the storm, raising its destructive potential. Although it is not possible to stop cyclone disasters, but their impacts can be minimized using a range of management approaches, that is response, recovery, prevention or reduction, and preparedness. Remote sensing and spatial analysis are efficient and accurate tools to provide useful information in every phase of cyclone disaster management. Remote sensing data combined with spatial analysis provide required information on changes to environmental conditions and infrastructure due to cyclonic impacts and are essential tools for reducing the impacts of future tropical cyclones. Developing and implementing appropriate approaches through mapping, monitoring and management, these tools serve to protect people, property and the environment. The most significant contribution of satellite remote sensing is repeated high spatial resolution satellite imagery both before and after the cyclone event to assess their impacts and monitor the progress of recovery. Satellite remote sensing and spatial analysis can also be used predictably to assess the cyclonic risk through hazard, vulnerability and mitigation capacity mapping and to model potential future impacts under likely climate change scenarios. Furthermore, satellite remote sensing also plays an essential role in tracking tropical cyclones and providing accurate forecasting of landfall. This paper focuses on non-meteorological and oceanographic remotely sensed data for examining changes to environmental conditions and infrastructure as well as assessing future impacts for effective cyclone disaster management. What if we could predict the worth of a cyclone before it strikes? With lives at stake and millions in property damage on the line, this isn't a what-if scenario. The application of remote sensing in cyclone tracking is not just a game changer, it's a lifesaver. Join us as we delve into this fascinating intersection of technology and meteorology. The application of remote sensing in cyclones involves using satellite or aerial imagery to track, monitor, and predict cyclones. The technology enables real-time data collection on cyclone formation, trajectory, and intensity, significantly improving disaster management and mitigation strategies. In essence, remote sensing offers a more accurate, timely, and efficient approach to cyclone prediction, saving lives and reducing property damage. Cyclones, also known as hurricanes or typhoons, are powerful natural phenomena that can cause widespread devastation. Remote sensing, which involves collecting information about an object or area from a distance, has proven to be an indispensable tool in cyclone management. By utilizing satellite, sensors, and advanced data analysis techniques, remote sensing provides real-time data and imagery, enabling meteorologists and disaster management teams to make informed decisions. Now we discuss about various applications of remote sensing in cyclone management. Remote sensing plays a crucial role in various aspects of cyclone management, providing valuable insights and data for monitoring, tracking, and predicting cyclones. Let us explore significant application of remote sensing in cyclone management so that local management can prepare proper ERDMP, that means emergency response and disaster management plan, to reduce the damage of property and livestock. The first application of geospatial technology in cyclone management is cyclone monitoring and tracking. One of the primary applications of remote sensing in cyclone management is monitoring and tracking cyclones. Satellites equipped with various sensors capture vital information about cyclones, including their location, size, and intensity. These observations help meteorologists understand the development and behavior of cyclones, providing early warnings and aiding the evacuation planning. The second point is cyclone intensity estimation. Estimating the intensity of a cyclone is crucial for understanding its potential impact. Remote sensing techniques plays a significant role in estimating cyclone intensity by utilizing infrared and microwave sensors. Infrared sensors detect cloud temperature, which provides insight into the storm strength and organization. Microwave sensors, on the other hand, measure the amount of moisture present in the storm, aiding in intensity estimation. The third application of geospatial technology is cyclone path prediction. Predicting the path of a cyclone is essential for issuing timely warning and taking appropriate action. Remote sensing, particularly through the use of Doppler radar and scatterometers, provides valuable data for cyclone path prediction. Doppler radar measures the motion and velocity of precipitation within a cyclone, while scatterometers analyze wind pattern near the ocean surface, aiding in accurate path prediction. Fourth application is storm surge prediction. Storm surges, the abnormal rise of water levels caused by cyclones, pose significant risk to coastal communities. Remote sensing contributes to storm surge prediction by utilizing altimetry and ocean color sensors. Altimetry sensors measure the height of the ocean surface, helping scientists understand the magnitude of potential storm surges. Ocean color sensors analyze the changes in water color and clarity, providing information about the presence of sediment and other factors that influence storm surge intensity. The fourth application is rainfall estimation. Cyclones are often associated with heavy rainfall, leading to flooding and other water-related disasters. Remote sensing techniques plays a crucial role in estimating cyclone rainfall by utilizing weather satellites and advanced rainfall algorithms. These tools provide valuable information about the spatial distribution of intensity of rainfall within a cyclone, aiding in flood forecasting and emergency response planning. The sixth application is flood mapping. When cyclones cause flooding, accurate and timely information about the extent of the flood is vital for disaster response and recovery efforts. Remote sensing, particularly through the use of synthetic aperture radar and LIDAR data, enables the mapping of flood extent. Synthetic aperture radar can penetrate through clouds and provide high-resolution images of flooded areas, while LIDAR data can accurately measure ground elevation and detect changes caused by flooding. The seventh application is damage assessment. After a cyclone passes, assessing the extent of damage is crucial for efficient allocation of resources and prioritizing relief efforts. Remote sensing plays a significant role in damage assessment by providing post-event satellite imagery and image analysis techniques. These tools allow experts to compare pre- and post-event images to identify areas of destruction, evaluate the impact on infrastructure, and then estimate the severity of the damage. The next application is evacuation planning. Evacuating communities in the path of a cyclone is a complex task that requires accurate information about vulnerable areas and population density. Remote sensing data assist in evacuation planning by mapping areas prone to cyclone impacts, such as coastal regions or low-lying areas. By combining population density data with hazard maps derived from remote sensing, authorities can develop evacuation strategies that prioritize the safety of the affected population. The last but not the least application is climate change impact analysis. Understanding the influence of climate change on cyclone is crucial for long-term disaster management strategies. Remote sensing provides valuable data for analyzing the impact of climate change on cyclone frequency, intensity, and behavior. By monitoring sea surface temperature and atmospheric conditions over time, scientists can identify patterns and trends that help improve climate models and enhance our understanding of cyclone dynamics. Remote sensing technology continues to advance, enabling researchers to conduct in-depth studies on cyclones. Scientists utilize remote sensing data to investigate various aspects of cyclones, such as their formation, intensification, and interaction with other weather systems. The availability of detailed and high-resolution remote sensing imagery allows for comprehensive analysis, contributing to advancement in cyclone research and the development of more accurate prediction models. Remote sensing has revolutionized cyclone management by providing critical data and insights across multiple stages, from monitoring and tracking cyclones to damage assessment and long-term impact analysis. The applications discussed in this article highlight the significant role of remote sensing in enhancing our understanding of cyclones and improving disaster preparedness and response strategies. As technology continues to evolve, remote sensing will remain a valuable tool in mitigation the devastating effects of cyclones and safeguarding vulnerable communities. তো আমাদের বে অফ বেঙ্গলে অনেক ডিজাস্টার সাইক্লোন হয়েছে, যেগুলো ভীষণ ফিউরিয়াস, এবং রিসেন্টলি মিচাং, যেটা আজকেই ল্যান্ডফল করেছে অন্ধ্রপ্রদেশ কোস্টে। তো এরকমই আমরা অনেক দেখেছি, সেই সুপার সাইক্লোন থেকে শুরু করে আইলা, তারপরে বুলবুল, ফণী, আমফান তো ভীষণই ডিভাস্টেটিং ছিল। তো এখন চলছে মিচাং, যার এফেক্ট অন্ধ্রপ্রদেশ কোস্টে প্রচণ্ডভাবে পড়েছে। তো একমাত্র জিওস্প্যাশিয়াল টেকনোলজি, আমরা তো অ্যাকচুয়ালি কমাতে পারবো না, ডিজাস্টারকে আমরা কমাতে পারবো না, এটা তো ন্যাচারাল ফেনোমেনাটা হতেই থাকবে। কিন্তু ডিজাস্টার আসার আগে যদি আমরা অনেক অ্যালার্ট হই, তাহলে কিন্তু এর যে ক্ষয়ক্ষতি অনেকটাই কমানো যাবে। তো তার জন্য একমাত্র প্রসেস, একদম সায়েন্টিফিক মেথড হচ্ছে জিওস্প্যাশিয়াল অ্যাপ্লিকেশন। তো আমি অনেকগুলোই বললাম জিওস্প্যাশিয়াল অ্যাপ্লিকেশন। তো এইভাবেই ডিজাস্টার, সাইক্লোনিক ডিজাস্টারকে আমরা কিছুটা কম করতে পারি। থ্যাংক ইউ।
If you have any questions, audience, তোমাদের মধ্যে যদি কেউ জানতে চাও সুপার সাইক্লোন বা হ্যাজার্ডস ম্যাপিং, ম্যাডাম আছেন, তো কেউ যদি তোমরা কোয়েশ্চেন করতে চাও করতে পারো।
হ্যাজার্ড ম্যাপিং যে করা হয় ওটাও কিন্তু থ্রু জিওস্প্যাশিয়াল টেকনোলজি, থ্রু রিমোট সেন্সিং অ্যান্ড জিআইএস অ্যান্ড জিপিএস।
হ্যাজার্ডস, ডিজাস্টার্স, জিওস্পেশাল টেকনোলজির মাধ্যমে কিভাবে সেটাকে রিডিউস করা যেতে পারে, কি কি মেথড ইউজ করা যেতে পারে, যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে বলতে পারো। হ্যাভ ইউ নো কোয়েশ্চেনস? ওকে
স্যার, অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি সবই ডিসকাস করে দিয়েছি পয়েন্টসগুলো, যে কি কি আমরা টুলস টেকনোলজি দিয়ে আমাদের ডিজাস্টারকে আমরা কম করতে পারি। তো সায়েন্টিস্টরা এভাবেই তারা এগোচ্ছেন, এবং আমরাও যারা রিমোট সেন্সিং নিয়ে কাজ করতে চাই বা শিখছি, করছি, তো এইভাবে হ্যাজার্ড ম্যাপিং করা যায়, অ্যালার্ট হওয়া যায়, ওয়ার্নিং জারি করা যায়, যাতে অনেকটাই কমানো যায় ক্ষয়ক্ষতি, বা লাইভ পিপল সেভ করা যায়। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
থ্যাংক ইউ প্রফেসর সঙ্গমিত্রা আরি। in his valuable speech for the subject of cyclone and its management for the way of geoinformatics. So thank you, ma'am, for the 2 days national seminars, and also thanks to all. In these sessions, next paper presentations, I may call Sonali Gutschait in here, Oyen Mondol Kisholoi Podia, the one paper rice almond influenced by rhizosphere bacteria. Sonali Gutschait, if you know. So, sir, nahi, keu nahi. So, in this session, closed by the first round oral presentation in Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Memorial Hall in 5/12/2023. আজকের এই সেশন আমরা এখন শেষ করছি। স্যার কিছু বলবেন যদি আপনি? হ্যাঁ, এরপরে আমরা কালচারাল প্রোগ্রামে থাকব এবং টি ব্রেক থাকবে। এখন আমাদের স্টুডেন্টস বা অডিয়েন্স যারা আছেন তারা অবশ্যই রুম নম্বর 303, 304 এবং 306 এই দুটো রুমে প্রেজেন্টেশন হচ্ছে, তোমরা সেখানে থাকতে পারো, এবং তার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে প্যারালালি টি সেশন আমাদের থাকছে। ওকে, হ্যাঁ, টি সেশনটা 10 থেকে 15 মিনিটের মধ্যে, তারপরে আমরা ব্যাক টু হল, আমরা হলে চলে আসবো। হ্যাঁ।